Greetings, everyone, and welcome back to Zaron Izrak's Halloween Reviews. Well, hopefully this time around, Sam has something a little better for us than the Omen 4. Yeah, we really kicked things off with a bang with that one, didn't we? Well, I think Sam's ready for us. Let's head down to the crypt and see what today's selection is. Hey, Sam, how's it going? Yeah, so I made the most of the Omen 4 last time. I'm kind of hoping you've got something a little better for us today. Oh, that is something better. Well, hands up how many of you are George Romero fans, specifically old school Romero from back in the day. I'm talking Night of the Living Dead, Dawn of the Dead, Day of the Dead. Yeah. Well, what some of you may not know is right smack dab in the middle of doing all those legendary Dead movies, Romero actually tried his hand at doing a vampire movie, and I gotta say, he did a pretty damn good job. I am, of course, talking about the criminally underrated film Martin. This is definitely a vampire film with a difference, and that's what we're going to talk about today on the Multimedia Chronicles. Welcome back. So, Martin. Martin was directed by George A. Romero in 1976, 2 years before Dawn of the Dead just took the world by storm. Yeah, so it wasn't his first return to horror films after Night of the Living Dead. That would have been The Crazies in 1973, which I still haven't seen. I really need to see that. I know there was a remake recently, but obviously I want to see the original first. But, yeah. So Martin is an interesting little entry into the horror genre. Definitely falls into the underrated gems category. A lot of people just don't even seem to know about it, which is unfortunate because I would say without hesitation that it is the single most unique vampire film I have ever seen. And I've seen a lot of vampire movies in my day. The thing that's interesting about Martin is it raises a lot of questions from the viewer. In particular, a big one is he or isn't he a vampire? Even Martin himself doesn't seem to be too sure. Now, there's a lot of people he knows, like a lot of people in his family are convinced that he's a vampire. And then there's other people, friends of his and such, who aren't so convinced. So the big question is he a vampire or is he just crazy? Does he just think he's a vampire because of different circumstances in his life? Because he doesn't sleep in a coffin. He doesn't have fangs. He can't turn into a bat. Garlic has no effect on him. He eats garlic and has no problem. Crucifixes have no effect on him. He can walk around in sunlight. So the immediate assumption would be, well, I guess he's just crazy then. But it's kind of like Blade Runner in that respect. Blade Runner, you have the age-old discussion of is Deckard a replicant or isn't he? And then there's arguments to support both sides. It's very much like that with Martin. It's like on the one hand, you can very easily dismiss it and say, oh yeah, he's just crazy. But on the other hand, there's other things, other factors that suggest that maybe he is. Maybe his family is right. It's up to you. It's entirely up to you to decide. Ambiguity abounds. There's lots of clues and suggestions to support one side or the other. And that's one of the things I love about it, is it's just, it's really got that old school independent film flavor to it, which I think works really well. In my opinion, it actually makes it scarier because it has that independent film grittiness, yet this was George Romero in his prime as a director, and it has just this beautiful visual style to it that it has the independent flavor, but the style of a director at the height of his craft at the same time. So it's just a great looking film overall. So I mean the way he dispatches his victims is he basically coerces them into his trust, and then uses a tranquilizer needle to knock them out, and then a razor blade, as you can see the big razor blade there, to Basically just slice open their arteries and drink, drink, drink. Yeah, so it's a little bit bloody at times, which I'm sure a lot of you will enjoy. Bloody gorehounds. Yeah, so bloody gorehounds. Yeah, okay, anyway. But if you're looking for something a little bit different, I mean, I know that, I mean, vampire movies are always popular. I mean, there's brief dips in popularity, but the vast majority of the time, vampires have always been popular. And if you're looking for something different to add to your vampire film repertoire, I cannot possibly recommend Martin enough. I don't want to say any more about it than I really have, because it's really better if you kind of go in fresh. Basically, all I've said is stuff that's on the back of the box as far as description goes, because I don't want to, you know, influence your decision one way or the other as to whether he is or isn't. That's part of the fun. I mean, it's up to you to decide. But yeah, great film. In terms of extras on here, what do we have? Yeah, this is the good edition to get, apparently. There's a couple of different versions of this on DVD, but apparently this is the one to get if you can track it down. You've got a new 16:9 anamorphic widescreen transfer from an HD master, new 5.1 Dolby Digital audio. I think it does include the original mono track as well. And you got a new commentary from George Romero, was it Richard Rubinstein, Tom Savini, and Michael Gornick, and Donald Rubinstein. Sorry, they only put their first initials in the thing. I don't know all of their first names. So anyway, you got a commentary from like everybody, basically. You got a new photo gallery. You got Making Martin, a recounting, which is a nice little featurette about it. Original TV spots and original trailer. So this is a very nice edition, just, you know, full of extras and definitely worth checking out. The first I actually heard about Martin was back in the mid-90s during my goth days. And I was frequenting some message forums there with other like-minded dark souls. And I remember one discussion was just talking about vampire films. At the time, vampire films were enjoying a bit of a resurgence in popularity. You had Interview with the Vampire, and you know, there was Bram Stoker's Dracula a few years before and stuff like that. And there was a few notable ones coming out at the time. Forever Night was on TV at the time. Vampire the Masquerade was very popular, a role-playing game. And I remember just one person in the discussion mentioning Martin. He said, yeah, my favorite vampire movie of all time is Martin by George Romero. And that's really all I knew about it. And I think he mentioned a little bit about it, the fact that it's kind of ambiguous and stuff. And I thought it sounded really interesting. And of course, I was familiar with George Romero because of the Dead movies. And I've always been a big fan of those. But I kind of put it on the back burner for like the next 10 years until I was at A&B Sound before they went tits up. And I saw Martin on the shelf one year, and I was like, oh, that's that movie. Suddenly the memory came flooding back. It's like, that's that movie that I remember hearing about years and years ago and was never able to find, and I've been wanting to see it. So I grabbed the DVD. And then it was about another 5 years before I watched it. Yeah, it was like, I don't know why I waited so long to see it. I mean, I've been wanting to see it for so long, and then I finally get it, and then I don't watch it. What's the matter with me? Yeah, maybe it was because I knew that it was so different from other vampire films. I didn't want to have my view of vampire mythology tainted by this incredibly unique and different film. But yes, fear not. Don't put it off like I did. Just check out Martin. You won't be disappointed. It's really good. I mean, even if it's not your cup of tea, at least check it out so that you can impress other film buffs by saying you've actually seen Martin. It'll give you street cred in the film snob community, yo. Word. Alrighty. Well, I guess that's it. That I really can't say much more about Martin without giving things away. But suffice it to say, it's well worth picking up, and especially if you're a vampire fan and they're looking for something a little bit different. No sparkling in this one, and best of all, no Bella. Yeah. I don't care if you're a Twilight fan and you're offended by that. I hate Twilight. That's really all I'm going to say about it. The only way I'll watch the Twilight movies is with the riff tracks commentaries, because they actually make them entertaining in ways they were never intended to be. So anyway, yeah, Twilight Martin ain't. So check it out. So just before we go, let's take a closer look at the packaging here and give you a closer look at the packaging. To the music stand! Okay, so of course for Martin, again we just have a standard DVD keep case. Some nice pictures from the film on the back there. And then of course the spine is very straightforward, just George A. Romero's Martin. I actually really like this cover. I mean, it just kind of screams indie film, doesn't it? But it does show, I think, the essence of the movie. It's like, because he does look kind of crazy there, and or mesmerizing, you know, if you believe whether he's a vampire or not. It's entirely up to you. And obviously makes it quite clear that he uses a razor blade, and rather than using fangs. Oh, sorry, bumped the camera there. So if we open her up, basically we just have the exact same artwork on the disc, but this is actually kind of see-through in that all the parts that are white or light gray on the front cover are actually see-through here, so you have the nice silver of the disc coming through on the artwork, so quite nice indeed. There it is without quite so much glare. And there's of course the back cover as well. So it's very awkward to get this lit and angled correctly. And there you go. A closer look at Martin on DVD. Yeah, there's another, like I said, there are some other DVD editions. There's one that has a distinctly 70s cover on it, which I think is a reproduction of some of the original poster art. But apparently this is the edition to get because this is the one that has all the extras. The other ones are kind of light on extras. So, yeah. Anyway, that's it from me to you for now, so we'll see you next time for another Halloween horror review. Until then, thanks for watching, and sayonara.